Welcome back to another video. Today we are in the Open Ultra League and we are going to be using a similar team that we've been featuring but with slightly different moveset just to see how it works. We got the Shadow Charizard, we got the Virizion, we got the Cresselia, but this time Cresselia we're running the Future Sight to handle the Charizards a little bit better. Now this is the matchup where we want to see the Cresselia because our own Cresselia would lose because it no longer has the Moonblast. So as you can see there, this Cresselia our opponent is using is running the Future Sight. So you got to be careful of that. We now know that we can win this as long as we shield the correct Future Sight. And it looks like potentially this could be another Future Sight, which indeed it is. And we force them to switch out and we throw the Dragon Claw for a little bit of chip damage. And then now we're just going to swap into our Cresselia because even though it doesn't have Moonblast anymore, it will be able to KO this Shadow Dragonite with the Future Sight. We're just going to overfarm a little bit, and then we're just going to throw this Future Sight. And now we're going to reveal that we have Future Sight, so they should be coming back in. Okay, it looks like they had the absolute hard counter to the Cresselia, the one and only Registeel. But unfortunately for them, we do have a Virizion waiting for it in the back. So as long as we don't unnecessarily switch out of this, we should be okay. As we know that Cresselia is still in the front. And here, they're just going to throw a Zap Cannon. I guess anticipating that we try to switch. But I guess the Zap Cannon still didn't KO. So honestly, if I was my opponent, I would have thrown the Focus Blast and try to farm down. Here, we know that they had no energy, so we're just going to farm it down. Or we try to. We're okay if this is going to KO, because then we can just farm down with our Virizion. So we put them in a really, really tough situation, and now this should be GG's. We should have enough Sacred Swords to throw at this Registeel, and as you can see, one Focus Blast does not KO this Virizion, luckily. And we have back-to-back, so we just throw back-to-back, no problems. So this team here, I mean, it is trying to be a little bit tricky, trying to be funky with some of the matchups. Future Sight on the Cresselia just wins a little bit better against the Charizards, wins a little bit better against like the potential poisons, and but loses really bad against the Registeels, even opposing Cresselias. So here looks like they swap into the Galarian Weezing. This Galarian Weezing is doing super effective fast moves, but we only have the Stone Edge to throw back at this Weezing. And actually our opponent is running a Hyper Beam Galarian Weezing, so props to them running some really spicy movesets here. Even running the Hyper Beam, they are still able to survive. So that was incredible. Luckily, we weren't KO'd. We didn't get KO'd by the Hyper Beam, so we were able to do some damage. Here, it looks like we are able to farm down and throw this huge Blast Burn, and it looks like our opponent ends up having the Shadow Dragonite. So this Shadow Dragonite is going to have to consider shielding everything because I potentially have Moonblast, but little do they know, we don't have Moonblast. We are actually running the Future Sight version. So, wow. So this Dragonite is actually running the other Hyper Beam. So this is a spicy team for sure. So we go for the double bait there. We luckily get it. And then now we're just going to go straight towards this Future Sight, which is going to KO because it's a Shadow, and boom, goes to Dragonite. Here we force out energy from this Aurorus, and it ends up being the Blizzard. Okay, and then because they used all that energy, we are able to get to a Dragon Claw here to take it out. Wow, what a hard-hitting move team. They were basically all in high-risk reward team. That team was all throwing only big charge moves, and so GG's to our opponent right there. That was a really fun team to see from our opponent. Okay, so next game here, let's see how we can work in the Future Sight Cresselia. So far, the Cresselia has been doing pretty well. Most of the time it's been matched up against like potential Dragonites. Here we have the Shadow Charizard versus the Giratina. It's always a tricky situation because now that Giratina got the Ancient Power buff, we have to be wary about that. And of course our opponents know that. So we have to shield there, and then we're just going to throw this Dragon Claw here, potentially get a shield back. Okay, perfect. And then we're just going to double shield because we actually don't have a really good answer to this Giratina with whatever we have in the back. Here, we're just going to allow them to throw a move here. We're just banking that they don't have the Ancient Power, which is indeed what happens. And then we're just going to do some chip damage, potentially, with the Dragon Claw. Oh, okay, they actually just double shield. And then now here, This probably was the best case scenario. We got the Giratina as low as we can. They actually didn't even have the Ancient Power. So this is the matchup we were trying to trick people with. Ends up being the correct way. We throw the Future Sight. So now they know we have Future Sight. For sure, this is going to be a Blast Burn. And now it's just a race to see who can get to the next charge move before our the other opponent. So here, you just CMP tie. They actually throw the Dragon Claw right there. And they CMP tie us on this Grass Knot. This Grass Knot is not going to KO, but it's going to chip it away, hopefully enough to where we can farm it down. Oh, that was a mistake. And that was a mistake. Because we survived that Dragon Claw against our Cresselia, we should have just gone for the Future Sight. Now we're in a tough situation. Oh man, we should have gone for the Future Sight for sure. But hindsight is 20/20. This Machamp is going to be able to beat us to the next move. If we didn't take that Dragon Claw from the Charizard, maybe we would have been able to survive that and get to another Sacred Sword. So nice play by my opponent, and GG's on to the next one. So we were kind of just getting used to this team here. We learned that the Cresselia can actually survive some of those attacks from the Charizard, especially if it's not a Shadow one. So here we have the classic Shadow Charizard versus Cobalion. This is all about who can bait, who can call the baits. Here we throw the Dragon Claw bait, they shield. Makes sense because potential Blast Burn would KO. Here we also shield because they potentially have Stone Edge and they know that. So this is pretty standard so far in the one shield. And now this is where it gets tricky. This time we go for the Blast Burn. They actually end up shielding. Then we just decide to switch out. We got both of the shields, so that was the main goal. Here we're just going to tank the Stone Edge and hope they switch out. Okay, here we go again. This is pretty much exactly what we wanted. Force them to switch out, thinking that the Cresselia versus the Charizard is a good matchup, but now they know that they are not having a good matchup. We now know that we can survive a Blast Burn and a Dragon Claw. So we're just going to go for this Future Sight here. This is going to be the Dragon Claw. We know we survive it barely. And then we're just going to go for this Future Sighted KO. So far, the tricky Cresselia is working wonders. We actually win against the Charizard. And now they bring in their own Cresselia. And this is where it gets a little bit tricky because we only have this Charizard good against this Cresselia. We do get farmed down there, which is unfortunate. And now we're just making sure that they don't throw their own Future Sight at us. It ends up being the Future Sight Cresselia. So everybody is being tricky here. We have a bunch of tricky stuff going on right now. We have to throw this Blast Burn, and we have to try to get to another move before they get to another Future Sight. Looks like they're going to get to another move here, potentially going to KO. It is the one and only Future Sight. So here, now it's just a race. Who can get to their charge move here? If we were... Oh! So they actually try to catch a move. Ends up being not the move that they expected. And now we're in a really good situation because now we can potentially farm some energy. Here we undercharge here, exactly, and we get the extra farm. Why is the extra farm necessary? Because we actually want to get to the Stone Edge to throw at this Cresselia before they get to their own potential Future Sight. If they're running Future Sight or a Moonblast, they have to get to there are several fast moves away. So GG's to our opponent right there. We actually win that matchup. That Cresselia actually ended up coming in clutch, taking care of the Charizard in the right spot, and then our own our own Virizion clutching at the end. So here's the matchup where it's going to be tricky. Here we actually switch out into the Virizion. I'm hoping that they switch out into like a Charizard, but they end up switching into a Cobalion. Very interesting play. I don't know if that's the right move, if they misclick there, but this is a really positive matchup for us right here. There's no way we lose this matchup particularly. We're just going to throw these Sacred Swords at optimal timing. Now remember, we actually came in with our Virizion, hoping that they didn't have that. So GG's to our opponent. Check out this team, and I hope you enjoyed the video.